Marvel takes a lot of flack for forcing their loyal fans to wait until the end of the credits of their movies to get some extra Marvel-y bits. It's gone to the point where some of their movies have scenes during the credits and then a whole extra scene after the credits. If you go to an opening night show, you'll likely see that most of the theater stays behind to wait for anything from huge twists to shawarma eating to Howard the Duck. Sorry, spoilers. But Marvel didn't invent the post-credit scene, and in fact there were more post-credit scenes before the Marvel Cinematic Universe even started. Post-credit scenes in movies generally fall into one of four categories: wrapping up unfinished plotlines, delivering a twist, teasing a sequel, or a form of metafiction, but more on that in a minute.
Thanks for coming to see our show. Sad to tell you we got to go.
Speaking of Marvel, most if not all of their recent works end with the line "Insert hero will return" in insert next movie title. While not being a scene, this type of post-credit tease can be found in its earliest form in 1963's James Bond from Russia with Love, which ends with the same phrasing, "James Bond will return in Goldfinger." 1978's Superman had a similar tease, ending with "Next year, Superman 2." That being said, if you read the original shooting script, they originally planned a post-credit scene featuring General Zod breaking out of space prison, setting up the sequel. If they had not cut the scene, it probably would have been the first post-credit scene to resemble the modern standard. The 1978 Beatles parody, All You Need Is Cash, it's not actually titled that, I don't know why I'm doing that, featured Eric Idle jumping into a river at the end of the credits. Probably the first comedy to take advantage of the post-credit scene, a genre that would quickly catch on. The Muppet Movie in '79 took full advantage of during and post-credit scenes, and 1980's Airplane would follow suit.
Well, I'll give him another 20 minutes. But that's it.
Ferris Bueller, 6 years later, would then blow the concept out of the water.
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.
Despite Ferris Bueller already being a work of metafiction, a very self-aware film, metafiction has always been a trend with post-credits. Probably the earliest example would be 1903's The Great Train Robbery, which featured a bandit leader who had just been killed on camera shooting point blank at the audience. Not post-credits, but post the conclusion of the narrative. Towards the late 80s and early 90s, post-credit scenes started to catch on, and everything from Adventures in Babysitting to Gremlins 2 had one.
Still lurking about? Don't you people have homes?
Oh, and by the way, I watched, and Adventures in Babysitting doesn't hold up. Like, at all.
Thor's my hero.
Thor's a homo.
Is not.
Yeah, he is.
Is not.
Thor's a complete homo.
Take it back, Brad!
No,
Take back what you said about Thor!
The amazingly awful Super Mario Bros. Movie, sorry for mentioning it, has a very self-aware post-credit scene featuring two Japanese businessmen pitching a video game called Super Koopa Cousins. 1995's Mortal Kombat movie features an audio-only post-credit scene, similar to the audio-only post-credit scenes of the Metal Gear Solid series, but more on games in a minute. By the mid-90s, post-credit scenes were fairly commonplace. If you can trust Wikipedia's count, the number of post-credit scenes per year between 1970 and 2007 grew from 1 to 27. 2007 was the biggest year for post-credit scenes, and most notably was the year before the Marvel Cinematic Universe officially started. Since the start of the MCU in 2008, we've averaged around 15 post-credit scenes per year. Marvel has been very successful at crafting post-credit scenes that deliver big twists or information to loyal waiting fans. But Marvel didn't invent that either. 1985's Young Sherlock Holmes has a post-credit scene that majorly sets up a sequel. Unfortunately, they never made a sequel, but they did tease one. Next up would be the only good part of Star Wars: The Phantom Menace. The end. The credit music at the end slowly morphs into the Imperial March, accompanied by Darth Vader's breathing, of course teasing upcoming movies. Another movie that shouldn't have happened, The Matrix Reloaded, teased its even worse threequel after the credits by playing its trailer. A lot of video games mimic movies in terms of storytelling, and post-credit scenes are no exception. 1987's Contra had the earliest post-credit scene in video games. Well, at least the Japanese version did. If you hold the start and select button during the credits, you get a secret message after the credits revealing that the bad guys are still alive. and we were all shocked. A few years later, Earthbound would follow suit. If you leave the game untouched for a few minutes after the credits stop rolling, your character will get woken up in the middle of the night, only to be delivered a letter from the villain revealing that he too is still alive and seeking revenge. Or in his words, "Come get me, loser. Spankety, spankety, spankety." I don't get Earthbound, guys. Zelda Twilight Princess had a huge twist halfway through the credits and then a very vaguely ambiguous possible twist at the end of the credits. Mass Effect 3, Super Mario Galaxy, Portal, Deus Ex, Assassin's Creed 2 all have movie-like post-credit scenes, but I want to talk about 3 types of post-credit scenes unique to gaming. Dragon Age Inquisition had a movie-like twist in the post-credit scene, but like many other games, allowed you to continue playing afterwards, which I've always found to be very strange. You've just saved the world from obliteration, or pulled off the big heist, or killed the big bad guy, yet nothing in the world really reflects that. It just draws attention to the fact that none of your actions or choices or decisions really had any consequence. Sure, you can still do side quests and run around and run over hookers with a car, but there's something disheartening about knowing that everything you did didn't mean anything. It's just like life. We're all meaningless, let's hug it out. There's no one here. And then there's the opposite problem, Destiny. Games like Destiny don't even really start until you finish the narrative and reached a high enough level to get actually cool guns and armor. Destiny's post-game system is too complicated and convoluted to explain in the scope of this video, so if you want to learn more, I put a link in the description. Halo Reach and Call of Duty Modern Warfare both have, in my opinion, perfect post-credit scenes. Both games present their players with impossible, in the case of Reach, or near impossible, in the case of Call of Duty, bonus missions. In Halo Reach, you save all the good guys, but consequently must stay behind to hold off hordes of bad guys, and ultimately die. A perfect ending for a game about a group of people called Noble Team. Modern Warfare, on the other hand, doesn't extend the narrative, but rather provides an extra, super difficult mission designed to really test the limits of your abilities. While post-credit scenes in games and movies have certainly been around for a while, I would argue that they both share a common root with epilogues in theater. I would say books too, but I feel like the performative and thus time-based nature of movies, games, and theater are crucial to the post-credit concept. Many of Shakespeare's plays feature epilogues that directly address the audience in the same self-aware fashion that we see in many post-credit scenes today. So when Avengers 9 has 15 post-credit scenes, you know who to blame. Shakespeare, or whoever was doing epilogues before Shakespeare, or me, just blame me. What do you guys want me to talk about next week? And do you think that post-credit scenes are part of the modern movie narrative? Let me know in the comments, and if you haven't already, be sure to click right on my face to subscribe, or at least think about it. You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.